are One Piece's strongest ships, and this first one has the ability to fly. That's right, the island ship sails the skies thanks to Shiki the Golden Lion's float fruit, giving it a huge advantage over almost every other ship since it could travel over water and land, attack from above, or even hide itself in the clouds. And although it's huge, the ship is surprisingly agile, which we saw when it avoided a dangerous weather hazard in One Piece film's Strong World. So I bet you can't believe Shiki's island ship only makes it into the C tier. And that's because it's nothing compared to the powerhouse ships like the Oro Jackson. The Pirate King's ship is made from atom wood, the world's strongest, rarest wood, so it's as tough as nails against cannon fire and other attacks. But more than its durability, powerful cannons, legendary crew, or the mysterious egg on its deck, what really makes the Oro Jackson stand out is its track record. Because not only did it pull off feats like facing down the entire Golden Lion pirates fleet, but it's the only ship to reach Laugh Tale at the end of the New World since the Void Century, and our first ship to reach the A tier. But one pirate emperor ready to sail past the Oro Jackson is Luffy's idol, red-haired Shanks, who's heading straight for Laugh Tale on the Red Force. The Red Force replaces the ship Shanks had during Luffy's childhood. It's armed to the teeth with cannons. It makes the floating restaurant Baratier look minuscule. And the fact that it's an Emperor-level ship proves it's a powerhouse. It also has many palm trees to keep the crew healthy with fresh fruit, and the Viking-style design is like the longboats from Elbaf, the Kingdom of Giants, which makes fans wonder if the Red Force was just inspired by or actually built by the Giants. I mean, Shanks is the protector of Elbaf, so it adds up. The only thing holding the Red Force back from the A tier is that we don't know its full capabilities or achievements. But for now, it's one of the best B tier ships there is. And while we're waiting for Blackbeard to reveal his new ship, the Queen Mama Chanter is another Emperor-level powerhouse we've got to talk about. Because it's twice as big as the Red Force, it's super strong, and it's backed by a fleet of tart ships that are a real pain to deal with. On top of its sheer size, which Big Mom uses to transport chess soldiers, officers, and supplies to and from Whole Cake Island, what makes the ship stand out is that it's alive. That's right. Big Mom used the power of the Soul fruit, which can put living souls into objects, to bring parts of the ship to life so that it sings, opens and closes its own doors, and for all we know, it can sail itself. Either way, it's a scary strong ship that wrecked Snapperhead, the ship of the Sun Pirates, kept up with the Thousand Sunny, and survived getting kicked down a waterfall in Wano. It deserves nothing less than the B tier. Now an even flashier ride is the Perfume Yuta, the bold red flagship of the Kuja Pirates. But it's not just pretty, cause Pirate Empress Boa Hancock's ship can easily sail through the Calm Belt, a place with no wind, and ferocious sea king monsters lurking below the water. How? Well, it's pulled by two fierce Yuta sea serpents that even the sea kings are scared of. Not to mention that on top of all that sea horsepower, it's got paddle wheels for extra speed. And if I was a bad guy, I wouldn't want to get too close because Hancock is just as freaky as those giant sea snakes, making Perfume Yuta a true sea queen. Of the C tier, that is. Even scarier is Thriller Bark, the haunted ship that used to be an island. Thriller Bark is just too big to sink, and it's defended by walls, towers, and a gate. Not to mention that hundreds of zombies and the mysterious Four guarded it before Luffy beat them up. But the most thrilling thing about Thriller Bark is the theory that it used to be God Valley. You know, the infamous island in West Blue that totally vanished after a huge battle between the government and a bunch of legendary pirates. Because apparently Thriller Bark was also an island in West Blue before Moria turned it into the world's biggest pirate ship. Now that would explain the zombies. That's more than enough to slap it into the B tier. But if you think that's impressive, what about the ship that went all the way to the moon? Maxim is a giant flying ark that was built to take Enel, the god of Skypiea, into space, so it's on a whole different level. Enel's ship is made of wood and gold, but instead of sails, it's got all these crazy generators, rotors, and propellers, and it's powered by lightning from Enel's Rumble fruit powers, with 200 jet dials installed as backup generators. And if the fact that it's literally a spaceship isn't enough to blow your mind, just wait till you see Maxim's devastating attack power. Because in Skypiea, we saw Enel use Maxim to unleash 3 godly techniques. Deathpiea, which creates a thunderstorm that Enel uses to fire lightning at his targets. Mamaragan, which shoots even stronger lightning bolts that can destroy entire villages. And Raigo, Enel and Maxim's most powerful attack, which creates a massive cloud sphere filled with electricity that Enel used to obliterate Angel Island. And he would have used Maxim to destroy all of Skypiea if Luffy didn't stop him. So Maxim's raw power and space travel abilities launch it way up into the S tier. Then we have the cannons of Orlumbus's Yonta Maria, a massive 3-masted man of war that's even taller than Haruden, a giant from Elbaf. Armed with dozens of gun ports, the Yonta Maria has crazy offensive capabilities. And if that wasn't enough, it's backed by an entire fleet of Santa Marias and Nita Marias. The Yonta Maria is one of One Piece's strongest ships, in the D tier. A fun fact is that the ship names Nita, Santa, and Yonta Maria are playing on the Japanese numbers 2, 3, and 4 to show their size and status. But Yonta Maria is just a toy next to the legendary ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman. I mean, it's literally as big as the sea giant Waratsumi. The Flying Dutchman is also the oldest known ship in One Piece, thanks to getting cursed to travel the seas forever many years ago. Centuries later, the cursed captain's descendant, Vanderdecken IX, is still sailing and attacking ships for their treasure. What's amazing is that the Flying Dutchman survived all this time under intense water pressure without the special coating that the other ships in One Piece need to stay in one piece underwater, a feat that edges it into the C tier. But what's more amazing is that even the Flying Dutchman is tiny compared to Noah, One Piece's biggest monobody ship. Seriously, Noah is half the size of Fishman Island. We also know it's super durable because it's been sitting on the bottom of the sea for 800 years but still looks brand new. And it took Luffy a ton of focus punches to even damage it. Although Noah's exact purpose is still a mystery, it was designed to be towed by sea kings, and it's obviously a giant arc. So it looks like the people in Fishman Island are in for a wild ride. But until we see some kind of offensive abilities, Noah gets a D. The exact opposite of Noah is Striker, a small one-man raft that lets Luffy's brother Ace unleash his unstoppable firepower. Ace's crew member Masseuse made Strikers so they could escape Sixus after a shipwreck, and then Ace started using it on missions across the world. I can see why, because Striker is fast, waterproof, and it has a sail, paddle wheels, and engines that can be powered by Ace's Flame Fruit or a flame dial. Even better, everything is controlled from the central sea. Not to mention that Striker works on the surface and underwater. Like when Ace pushed it below the waves to destroy an entire Baroque Works fleet with his fire fist, and it came up just in time for him to land on it. So even though Striker is small, it perfectly complements Ace's abilities. It's a solid C. Now that's just 11 of One Piece's 23 strongest ships, and the last 3 are gonna blow your mind. But even they aren't as iconic as this next ship. Yes, I'm talking about the Straw Hat Pirates' first full-size ship, the Going Merry, which took them all the way from East Blue to Water 7. The Going Merry ate up an insane amount of damage from cannon blasts, explosions, and wild storms during its time with the Straw Hats. But even when Wapol took a bite out of it, Bellamy broke its keel, or Luffy ripped off its mast to fight a whale, Merry stayed strong thanks to Usopp's repairs. And being tough wasn't the Going Merry's only good point, cause its mobility and short keel helped the Straw Hats sail through tricky waters and escape from bigger ships, just like in real history, where caravels like the Going Merry were famous for their speed, agility, and small size that let them travel on both sea and rivers. But what's really amazing is that the crew loved the Going Merry so much that its soul appeared as a Clobotterman, a legendary water spirit that extended the ship's life and gave it the power to go save the crew at Enies Lobby. Merry could move up to the A tier if it just packed a little more punch, but B tier it is. And when it comes to firepower, you just can't compare the Going Merry to the Grosseid, a non-canon ship that's just too strong not to talk about. Basically, the Grosseid is a massive engine-powered island that can travel underwater. However, it's got super scary strength thanks to Burndy World's More fruit, which lets him make the cannonballs fired from the ship's main cannon big and fast enough to wipe out entire islands from thousands of kilometers away. Even the world government in Marie Joie wasn't safe from the Grosseid, and the Marines led by Fleet Admiral Sakazuki had no choice but to hunt it down, making the ship an easy A. But even with all that firepower, the Grosseid never made a legacy quite like the Moby Dick, a massive galleon sailed by Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. The Moby Dick's huge cannons pack a serious punch, and it shocked the Marines by popping up out of nowhere during the Summit War thanks to a special resin coating from Sabaody Archipelago that let ships dive 10,000 meters beneath the sea. The Moby Dick was one of the world's top ships for decades, and when it finally got destroyed, Whitebeard talked to it as if it was alive, hinting that the Going Merry wasn't the only ship with a Clobotterman. Like Whitebeard, Moby Dick was a true force of the seas, and true force of the A tier. On the other hand, the trickiest ship out there has to be the Sexy Foxy. Captain Foxy's ship is a 100-meter-long ship packing serious firepower and retractable paws for anchoring or trapping smaller ships. But what truly sets the ship apart are all the tricks that Foxy built into it, from trapdoors and conveyor belts to crossbows and rotatable mini cannons to dangerous spiked floors. The Sexy Foxy can even knock out invaders with an enormous punching machine, but that's still not enough to punch its way out of the D tier. Now when it comes to marine ships, ex-Vice Admiral Garp's dog-themed battleship is the ship to watch out for. See, Garp's ship is custom made for his crazy strength, so instead of a front cannon, it has conveyor belts to bring him cannonballs that he throws at insane speeds. And we've even seen him pitch an iron ball and chain bigger than the Thousand Sunny. It's also insanely durable, which we saw when Garp launched it hundreds of meters through the air into the middle of Hachinosu Island to rescue Kobe from the Blackbeard pirates. Like Ace's Striker, Garp's ship suits his powers perfectly, and as a high-ranking battleship, it's likely fitted with Sea Stone to cross the Calm Belt without getting attacked by Sea Kings. It's the strongest C-tier ship. But when it comes to big tech in a small ship, you simply cannot beat the Thousand Sunny. Because not only is the Straw Hat's second ship a two-masted brigantine that's twice as big as the Going Merry, but Frankie wanted to surpass the Oro Jackson, so we went all out on the features. On top of using the strongest wood in the world, he built a soldier dock system that unleashes all kinds of mini-ships and robots, installed a rabbit screw turbine for fast travel, and packed in 16 cannons, including 2 insane super cannons. The giant coup de burst cannon blasts the ship into the air for 1 kilometer to escape danger, and the Guyon cannon turns compressed air into a devastating laser. Seriously, the Guyon cannon was powerful enough to wipe out most of the flying fish riders and destroy half their base in a single shot. What's really cool is that the Guyon cannon is hidden in the Thousand Sunny's lion head, which can also spin to push the ship backwards. The Thousand Sunny also has tons of amazing areas, such as the garden where Usopp grows pop greens, Frankie's weapon development room, and even a stylish aquarium bar. So the Thousand Sunny is right there at the top of A tier with the Oro Jackson. Oda hasn't spilled enough info to rank super rookie ships like Grudge Dolph or Jewelry Margarita just yet, but one deadly super rookie ship is Trafalgar Law's submarine Polar Tang. In One Piece novel Law, the ship was given to the Heart Pirates by an inventor on Swallow Island, and unlike regular pirate ships, the Polar Tang is mostly made of metal and powered by engines, although it also has retractable sails in case the engines need a break. The Polar Tang is perfect for rescue missions, like when Law picked up Luffy at the end of the Summit War, plus it has torpedo cannons for sneaky underwater attacks. There's even an advanced medical room, which Law used to save Luffy's life. It's a solid B. Now, traveling underwater is handy, but a ship with a much weirder way of getting around was the Nostra Castello, the super unique ship of the Fire Tank Pirates. Nostra Castello was castle-themed just like its captain Capone Beji, whose devil fruit let him turn into a human fortress. So it had a rook figurehead with 2 cannons and a castle instead of a regular cabin. But what's really cool were the tank treads that allowed it to move on water and land, which saved everyone's lives during the fight on Whole Cake Island. The Nostra Castello was even strong enough to eat up hits from Big Mom's crew and even survived getting boiled in super hot water by one of Big Mom's kids. Its unique movement abilities and durability land the Nostra Castello right in the B tier. Unfortunately, Big Mom's servant Prometheus eventually destroyed it in a blast of fire. But Prometheus wouldn't even be able to see this next ship, because just imagine you're sailing on the ocean, looking through your telescope, when you suddenly see someone walking on water. Exactly what happened when the Straw Hats saw this dude doing the impossible. Except he wasn't actually walking on water, he was just standing on Tin Plate Wapple's steel-plated submarine ship, the Blyking. As a submarine ship that showed up before the Polar Tang, the Blyking would have been perfect for sneaky surprise attacks, but that coward Wapple only used it to hide from the Blackbeard pirates. The Blyking has so much promise, but for now it's stuck at the bottom of the D tier. On the other hand, we have a dangerously underrated ship called the Sharka Emeralda. It only showed up in the Heart Gold TV special, but like the Grossade, it ought to be canon. Because not only did the treasure pirates load it with scary teeth and cannons, but it's built with steel and jewels that make it tough enough to sail through a giant football fish's stomach acid. Not to mention that the Sharka Emeralda's crew members use their devil fruit powers to camouflage it for surprise attacks, as well as trap and board other ships. It's a strong C-tier ship. Now, even though the 20 ships we've talked about so far are super strong, they're nothing compared to the ship that's literally an entire country. That's right, the Germa Kingdom is a mega ship, made of smaller ships built on top of giant snails, each of which is at least 3 times wider than the Thousand Sunny. So the Germa Kingdom is basically a giant Lego set that can change shape whenever it wants, or split into an attack force of separate ships loaded with towers and turrets. Not to mention that it's staffed by an army of clone soldiers armed with powerful battle tech that's second to none. But what's really scary is that on the backs of its giant snails, the kingdom can even climb the supposedly impassable red line, meaning it can easily run across entire islands. What all this means is that the size, versatility, and overwhelming power of the Germa Kingdom mega ship makes it the strongest S-tier ship ship in modern times. But somehow, the ancient world made an even scarier ship. Pluton, one of the 3 ancient weapons, is known as the world's worst battleship, and just like Poseidon and Uranus, it has incredible destructive power. Apparently, Pluton was built on Water 7 way back in the Void Century, and now it's hidden deep below Mount Fuji in Wano country. The full power of Pluton is shrouded in mystery, but it's capable of such unbelievable destruction that the world government forbids people from even talking about it. Not that this stopped Crocodile from trying to find it to create the world's strongest military country. And just in case Pluton did end up in dangerous hands, the ship's makers passed the blueprints down from generation to generation so that another Pluton ship could be built to fight against the original ship if necessary. That is, until Frankie burned the blueprints to a crisp. Pluton is the S-tier ship of S-tier ships, but apparently it won't appear until the borders of Wano are torn down. So until then, the details of this nightmare ship will remain one of One Piece's greatest mysteries. And I've explained 45 even more amazing One Piece mysteries in this video right here. Click it!